Welcome to the Building Doctor Show with Jens Johansson.
Here we are. Welcome to the Building Doctor Show. I'm your host, Jens Johansson. Glad to see you here to learn more about your buildings. It's Halloween month, Halloween season, so let's embrace our building fears. In this episode, we're going to talk through common fears, myths, misconceptions, surrounding the often mysterious and frightening repair process. And we will explain why certain repairs are worth worrying about and why some aren't worth freaking out about. So today is all about healthy middle ground. There's plenty of room between, I can just blow this off and we're doomed. We've only had to send one building to the morgue and tear it down, and we'll see that video. But all the rest of them we were able to fix. So this Halloween, the only thing that should be frightening are the decorations in your front yard, not the state of the building itself. And you'll also be able to ask questions for those of you who show up in person. There's a Q&A section at the end. All right. So as always, we run a quick poll here to understand who's in the audience. And, oh, come on, where's that poll? You know what? Just enter if you're a board member, type 1. If you're a manager, type 2. If you're just curious here for type 3, type 3. Put that in the chat section, and Ben, the producer, will gather those things. So 1 is board, 2 is manager, and 3 is you're just curious about this stuff. So then we'll be able to kind of understand who this is being presented to. So disclaimers, as always, 2 of them. This show is free, so put away your credit card. We aren't selling you anything. And number 2, this show is for educational content only, and we're hoping today will be a little humorous. And, disclaimers, we're not giving away legal, financial, or engineering advice, and I'm not a medical doctor. We're just people on the internet trying to help you run your building better. We've helped thousands of people with their building problems. We've seen what worked and what didn't when it comes to restoring and running condos, and we want to share that with you in hopes that it benefits you. So we are just building nerds that put out this information and like to talk to you about it. We don't get paid for it. So the way you can pay us back is a 5-star review or smashing that like button wherever you are. If you found this giving you the shuns, education, stimulation, or motivation to do something about your building. So we're hoping that we are providing you with great educational content. So again, that 5-star review, wherever you're watching it, would be awesome. And so looking for there's lots of 1s in here, and that's good. Lots of board members. Excellent. Another thing we're talking about, this monthly webinar that we're doing. What if we did a kind of a board forum or a group board chat, maybe once a month? Would you guys be interested in that? Type a yes or a no into the chat, and we can take a look at that. So live Q&A for everybody that shows up today. We get live Q&A at the end. So bring your questions. It can be about the show. It can be about something else. We've answered lots of good ones. We use these questions as further information throughout the month, and letting people know what we're hearing and what we're thinking. And so if that Q&A doesn't work for you, you can even stay tuned for a link and schedule a 20-minute call with me, free one-on-one, and we'll talk through that. So Ben, the producer, is going to be monitoring the chat, and in the end, put your questions in the Q&A, and we will be able to sort those things there. Also, for the people that spend time and show up today in person, we'll be doing that raffle giveaway. We've got got a fun raffle box, has some J2 like Yeti mugs in it, and some stickers and some other fun stuff for hot beverages out trick-or-treating, and it'll keep you warm in the fall evenings. So let's see, other exciting news, and just kind of stepping back, I watch replays of webinars all the time because I don't have time to watch it right in the moment. So I dedicate a little bit of time when I've got, hey, there's no shows on TV and it's, whatever. I've got my iPad and I want to watch it in fast speed. And has anybody ever run into link has expired? And I'm like, wait a minute, it's been 8 days. Come on. So you ping them back. He's resending the link. Oh, I'm sorry, we're taking that link down. Well, we're excited because this show is now on Spotify and iTunes. So it's a great way. You don't have to be in front of your computer. You can listen to it in your car or wherever you are on your way home and workout, whatever. So stay tuned for that. We can search Building Doctor Show on iTunes and Spotify, and you will find us. All righty. Let's get into today's agenda. There's kind of some high-level agenda stuff, the scaries caused by misconceptions and realities of, occupied remediation. Do I have to move out? Is everybody, are you going to have a whole bunch of people in my unit? Windows and decks and roofs, attics, plumbing, bad reporting can be scary. Bad management can be scary. Those are all, we're going to talk through that. But, I was kind of interviewing some people and saying, what's the biggest thing that scares you about your building? And some of the common things here, collapse, because these have been all over the news for the past 2 years. There's a parking garage that collapses, or the Surfside condos in Florida collapse, or just on and on. We can find these collapse news articles, and people are starting, why is this, is my building going to collapse? Security, phrogging. Have you heard this term before? Phrogging. Phrogging. It's where people are, we're going to talk about it. It's where they're in your crawl space or attic space, and they can access your unit without you knowing about it. So think murders in the building, or, we'll talk about a couple other shows here. And then big scaries on everybody's mind, the big crazy assessments. Because, hey, we've finally woken up and now we realize we're way behind and we need a lot of money to correct what's going on. So save some of those things for your Q&A if you've got some big scary things around there. But we're going to talk about these lighter things. And like I said, we've got a lot of pictures and video. And so this will be a fun show and tell show. But let's get into this. Okay, so phrogging. Okay, we've got a video on this one. Google it.
I felt like I was acting like a crazy person, but then there's like a towel set out with knives on it.
He wanted to perform surgeries on my wife and children.
Things that you would see in scary movies.
I think that I'm on the verge of a complete mental breakdown.
I saw something that I will never forget.
This person had been watching us.
Hold up. We are not alone. Wow. There's literally a man living in your closet.
Man found hiding between a family's walls.
So here's where this came up to us. The first time we've heard of this was about 6 months ago. And what I've taken here is a drawing of a multifamily building. We've got 4 units side by side. You've got the unit divider walls, and up in your attic space, you're supposed to have what's called a draft stop or a fire stop that goes all the way up to the bottom of the sheeting. And supposed to meaning in code, what it does is it prevents a fire from going this way and then getting into the next unit. And so it stops the spread of fire. Sometimes they're required, sometimes not. A lot of times we'll see them. Sometimes we'll just see one big open attic space. And what the manager was saying, he said, well, we've got kind of a nefarious bad guy in one of these units, and he goes up through that little crawl space hatch, the one that's in your bedroom or your closet or your laundry room or your upstairs hallway, goes up through that hatch, walks through the attic, and comes down the neighbor's hatch. And then, I don't know how they slung in or dropped a ladder or did something, but it was like, oh my gosh, it's everybody's nightmare come true. And so this person was stealing things or doing something, and would jump back up in and close it off, and the person would come back and they'd find little shavings of insulation on their floor underneath that attic hatch, and their jewelry was missing. And so we were like, wow, we can either build firewalls and keep them out of there, or we can get some locking latch style doors. And so we started thinking about the same thing happens on your crawl space. And so if your building's not a slab on grade, it has a crawl space under it. And so you'll have some kind of hatch in some closet somewhere, and you'll drop down into that crawl space. And then can you go up the next unit over? So hopefully by not explaining all this, we don't create a rash of frogging. But check it out, Google it. You'll see a whole bunch of interesting stuff. And then there's a big series on Hulu right now, Hider in My House. The term frogging came from, instead of couch surfing, I'm surfing from couch to couch to couch. I'm frogging from house to house to house, but the people don't know I'm there. And so, yeah, this is the thing that creeps me out the most. So how can we stay vigilant about that? Obviously, being aware of it is the first thing. So we're calling that the most scariest thought of all. What if somebody was living in your house and you didn't know about it? Giving you all the heebie-jeebies, you'll be totally scared the rest of the show. Okay. So let's go. Let's see. We've already done that one. So occupied remediation. We've got some misconceptions. We're going to kind of approach some of these as misconception versus reality. So occupied remediation, there's going to be constant noise and traffic. The building will be uninhabitable or dangerous. We got to tear the whole building down. No, those are misconceptions. You've got water damaged walls, under windows, lots of, I think this is even in a shower. But here's an interesting building that we this is the one we had to condemn. And you'll see it looks like two, we call them the Farmer Brown red barns. Well, they actually were. They were original barns to the land, and HOA came in and put in state-of-the-art a library inside this barn. And it was a wonderful story, other than the sad ending, that they didn't check out the shell or the existing barn. And it happened to be, since the timbers from the barn were actually harvested from the farmland around, they weren't pressure treated or kiln dried, which would kill the powder post beetle. And so the powder post beetle was in the timber, woke up about 5 years later and proceeded to eat little holes all the way through things. And the exterior structure had to be torn down. And so everybody likes a good demolition. Here's what happens. We take track hose and we tear apart your building. And we fly a drone around it just because it's fun. But yikes, this was really sad. And so here they're smashing through the conference rooms in the library and tearing out, really neat children's areas. Just like you walk into this barn and then you walk through a door and it had the automatic little dinger on the door, like the security to make sure you weren't stealing books. A really cool place, but tore this down and they're in the process of rebuilding. So the one building we've had to send to the morgue. Now, other things, noise and traffic being constant. Now we work with contractors to sort that out. Your entire site is not a war zone. The contractor says, look, I want to start on building one and work my way around counterclockwise. Or they give us, we're going to start here and go there and go there. We're not going to tear everything apart. And then, 98% of the repair projects we work on, we really try hard to keep people from moving out, keep you in your units so that you can enjoy your units, not incur additional expense. There's some times where, a big plumbing replacement job, maybe the bathroom's going to be shut down for a couple of days, and maybe that's when you need to stay in a hotel. But for the most part, if we need to shore up your building, we can put it on crutches. So that's called temporary shoring, big posts and beams and even steel and whatever to keep your building from collapsing. Okay, the reality of this, we're not always tearing things down. Here's J2 in a vest and working with the contractor here who's measuring some things out. We're wearing booties. keeping things clean and letting you live in your home. And so good communication is a big part of that. But for this slideshow, we had to include the black cat. You got to have the black cat on the Halloween presentation. So there's the black kitty. And here's occupied remediation. We're talking about this. You'll find this video on
You're
the
talking
website.
about people that live in their home while all of this demolition and repair work is going on the outside. And it's chaotic. There's nothing nice about it. There's no simple way to put it. You're living in an active construction zone. So having the right team that at least respects the fact that people live here is very important. And having a good contractor that can work with homeowners or deal with somebody that's got a dog or a cat, it's all important. We take these things for granted when we're doing new construction because we don't have to deal with them. But occupied remediation, this is somebody's home, and we have to respect that.
Okay. Let's see. Here's some more stuff of how you gonna get this is on our YouTube channel. I'm not gonna play the whole video. But in this particular project, we're redoing the walkways in between these buildings. And so in order to get the columns in there, we had to have this gigantic crane. But we were able to do everything within a single day. We didn't lose any people having to stay somewhere. So this video isn't all that exciting, but it's cool. The drones and the big cranes and the stuff we can do. And so we can go to great lengths to make that easy for you. So let's see. Misconceptions about windows and siding. We hear this all the time, unfortunately. Oh, my windows are metal and glass. They don't break down. And windows don't need maintenance. You just wash them. Well, and we've done other videos on importance of keeping your window weeps clean, especially in vinyl windows have corners that are heat welded, and so they actually weld the vinyl together. In the metal frame windows, whether they're brand new commercial or whether they're older aluminum, they had sealant that would be between those two, that miter joint of metal. And so that sealant fails after 15, 20 years. And windows do need some maintenance. They need cleaning out, they need greasing, they need oiling, they need graphiting, whatever, to keep them working, keep their hardware working, keep their weather stripping working well. And so making sure you take a look at your windows, and we'll talk a little bit more about those, but making sure you take a look at your windows and maintain those. Siding, here's siding can leak. Decks are a big leaker. That's this left photo. And then the right photo is siding into a corner of a building, and directly above it is what's called a roof to wall intersection. But these are good.
You saw that from up there, didn't you? That flange. Yeah. So that's what I noticed.
So this is a pretty big beam that's clearly deteriorated. Deck is directly above it, a whole deck stack. And so this deteriorated beam, is holding up 3 floors of deck. And that's pretty severely damaged there. Here I'm ripping off vinyl siding by hand. I don't need a hammer or a pry bar. The sheathing is just gone. That's why the nails aren't holding up to anything. I'm pulling out the OSB sheathing with my hands. It's just having so much water intrusion. There's the stud, pulling out the stud. That's pretty scary, huh? Okay, you can see the light coming from the interior. That's the interior of the unit. And there's even holes in the subfloor. There's your insulation, it's all guzzy. But this whole area needed to be redone and torn off, and pretty scary. And so the video on the right with the vinyl siding, we're pulling that off. That was where we went viral on TikTok. So check us out on TikTok, J2 Consultants, 25 million views. So obviously plenty of people thought it was exciting and scary. Well, come on. The interface here with our...
These look like replacement windows. This era of building probably had metal aluminum frame windows, so these are vinyl frame windows. Things I'm looking for are open weep holes. So water is designed to get into this system and drain out. And so these weep holes look great.
So that's the maintenance part of your window. You want to make sure the drains are working. You want to make sure the tracks are clean. You'll see some of these videos on our YouTube channel. Now, this other video is we're using the man lift as a holder or as a way to hold up our window testing spray rack. And that's these blue lines. That is the window testing spray rack. We've had the contractor put just enough tieback there for the new window so that we can test the windows. So this video just kind of circles around, but it ultimately shows, well, let's see if I can speed it up there. Doesn't look like I can speed it up for you, but the gist of it is it's holding up the spray rack that we're testing the windows with. And so this window spray rack testing is part of Washington's condominium law that you have to do this. And some other states have that as well, but it's something that you want to look into your state regulations. Am I required to test these and give them a performance test? We highly recommend it. We find that 25% of brand new windows fail this kind of testing right off the truck. And so these windows haven't been racked or hauled up a scaffolding or muscled around too much. We take them right out of the truck, put them in a buck and test them, and they fail. And we send them right back to the manufacturer. So again, they're being mass produced, and the lowest common denominator in the factory is running the caulk gun or taping the joint tape and just doesn't have a good day. And so it causes these windows to leak. And so I would expect if I'm buying a brand new product, it would perform as it's expected to. So we find that scary. Okay, let's go to the next one.
These look like replacement.
We know they look like. Okay. All right. So siding needs to drain, and siding has drainage provisions in it. Vinyl siding has little weep holes. Stucco has flashing and weep screeds below it. Brick has those gaps or those holes called weep holes. And so
one element of vinyl siding
in this video, you're going to see where the weep holes are.
It needs a weep hole because water can't move through it. Water condenses on the backside of it and actually fills up the channel. You can see these little holes in the bottom. These are the weep holes. They're designed to actually let water
dripping out of them. And so I'll get on this screen. You can see these little holes here. Every 6 or 8 inches, there's just a little drainage provision to allow water to come out from behind it. And so that's something to take a look at when you're inspecting your own building and just making sure that it's working as expected. All right, decks, misconceptions. The biggest thing we hear is, oh, decks are outside. It's okay if they're a little wobbly. Well, in this particular project, one guy is just making the whole deck shake. He's not even working hard. So imagine having a 4th of July party and your whole group is out there cooking hot dogs. So why is this deck shaking, going back and forth? So it's missing any kind of lateral load resistance. So whether that's diagonal bracing, whether it's steel, hardware between posts and brackets, whether it's some, different blocking. From a carpentry standpoint, this deck is totally nailed together and it looks like a wooden deck and there's nails in every board. And so they paid the carpenter, but they didn't talk to an engineer who would design this correctly to keep it from scooting back and forth. So we were able to tighten that up, but pretty extreme. Okay, some common problems with decks, especially wooden ones. You'll see, rotten post rails, rotten deck boards, excuse me. Just slimy, slimy conditions because they're not cleaned and maintained. And then over here, you get some weird, some people stick some shims under some deck beams and posts. That's it. These are deck posts and some little odd shim of Trex decking under there. So, yeah, if I were walking around, that would scare me. What's going on there? So, just take a look around your decks. If you see maintenance that needs to happen, or if you see some decay, walk around. This is just a screwdriver. Just walk around and kind of poke things. It shouldn't be doing that. All right. Okay, so the most terrifying part of this is look at that bald spot. Wow. Yes.
Is there a better solution for coating these decks than coating the decks? Because I'm concerned that with the cure time, people will lose access to their unit for a couple of days. Is anybody using something better?
Yeah, so you can coat the decks, and we actually have a elevated, think about a plywood walkway on pegs. And so you can have 2 or 3 legs, if you will. So you can coat it, then you just have the leg marks, and they can pass on one half or pass on the other half, and you can kind of do a half coat and a half coat. And so they can still get access to their unit.
Do you have any pictures of that being done?
Yeah.
Or could you send them to me sometime?
Absolutely.
So in this instance, we were walking around with one of the board members, and she was asking, I don't want to do this deck or walkway recoating project because people have to move out. They would have to step through this wet deck paint, if you will. And so I'm talking about 2 different options there. One, a little elevated platform, and the other is just taping off a midpoint line. So stay on the left half, and we're going to coat the right half, and the next day we'll swap sides. Other ways you can do it, if there's multiple stairways and walkways into your building, we often see that with building codes because they want you to have multiple ways of egress. It's called getting out of the building if it's on fire. So that's why you have 2 sets of stairs. If there's a fire in the left stair, you can go across the walkway to the right stair and get down. And so we'll use that to our coding advantage of just, we're going to shut down this half, but you can reach your floor by going up and over. And so there's lots of ways we can help you with your decks and walkways. Make them not scary.
Is there a
Okay, so does anybody think that stuff sound good? Are we educating, motivating, and stimulating here? If it does, here's a link to set up a quick call with me. These are free calls. We want to make sure that we are the right fit and see if you even need us. Half of these calls we say, you're good. Just call a roofer. Just call a deck person. You don't need a consultant. They can help you. And so you can find that link at learn.j2consultants.com/consultants on call. Or you can use your QR code and scan that, and that'll take you right to that. And speaking of scanning, we talked about iTunes. You can scan this QR code. It takes you right to Spotify. We're rolling out replay episodes every single Friday morning. So it's perfect for your commute or weekend errands. You'll find us on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, and whatever else these little icons are. And check us out. And these are the places where you can give us that review, smash that like button, help us reach more people. All right, roofs. Okay, the misconceptions. They're hard to access, therefore constant maintenance is impossible. My roof's steep, I can't get up there. I don't know, that's too hard. Well, no, it's not. That's what roofers and roof cleaners do. And then, kind of a misconception, my whole roof is going to come collapsing in all at once. Well, this video is a slow collapse.
So this is an old tile roof. You can see the tiles over there have been removed. Skip sheathing, not regular panel sheathing. Spaces between boards here. What we've got here is a truss failure. The top cords of this truss are in compression, which means that the vertical member here is intentional.
These were the original, these new horizontal, they're part of the shoring.
Tension member detached, about 8 or so trusses in a row. Also popped apart. The next connection down the line on the truss failed. You can see daylight through some truss top cords there. There's a splintered one there. So very lucky that the tiles didn't come crashing in on this one.
Yeah, so the client noticed this, that we got some dips in our roof. That's weird. And then in one of the big rooms in this building, it was like, why is the ceiling cracking? That's kind of weird. Can you jump up in our attic and take a look around? Yes, we'll keep an eye out for froggers. But when we walked up there, we're like, whoa, you've got trusses settling apart or ripping apart, literally. And it was on its way to having a big problem. I think it was the weight of the tile plus the weight of a lot of extra snow. This is kind of this, last couple of years we've seen more rain, more snow, and so we had to do some fixes there. So common problems on roofs, these are pretty quick ones, but lots of standing water or ponding water. We want to get that roof to drain. Water needs to run to the drain. If it sits there, it'll work its way through every little joint, find every little hole, and even cause extra weight. It'll damage the roof as well as wear out the membrane, because it's not a pool liner. It's not meant to be underwater all the time. Most roofing manufacturers say we want it to be dry within 24 hours after a rainfall. We need the product to dry out. It's not submersible. So then in this other picture, we're able to just kind of peel back the shingle. So in other words, we've lost our adhesion or any kind of glue that holds that shingle down. And we'll see the shingle starting to crack or cup or warp. And so we've got another picture of that. We've got shingles.
Roof edges, you can look up on the roof shingles and start seeing some curling of some shingles.
See those tubes?
When we went up and did a direct observation down on the shingles, you can see the shingles themselves cracking. And so the shingles are really at the end of their life. Flat roof issues, we have lots of just a tired flat roof that is leaking to the inside. The visual clues were there to show us these issues. Now the next step is deciding on either a targeted fix or a replacement. And that targeted fix is a function of remaining useful life, costs, budget, your desire to keep patching it and dealing with the damage that comes from repeated leaks. And so we'll sit down and talk to the clients about those two options.
And then in today's technologies, we can with drones now, we can get really good pictures, close-ups, elevated faraways, and then it's just so much safer. And
that's a hot stack.
So you want close-ups to that, right?
Just go over to that one penetration. I just need to see what that's looking like. Okay. Take a picture of that.
We can be staring at the
give me the four
operator screen, and we can take that picture. I'll handle that later.
Give me corners. Let's see some corners.
So the technology there is the technology now is there to be able to do this really with a great outcome.
Roof edges, you can look up on the roof.
Toy drone. So attics, okay, just misconceptions. They're scary. I don't want to go up there. They're hard to access. What if there's a frogger up there? The other issue is, hey, misconceptions with attics are just for storage, right? I can just put all my Christmas boxes and junk up there that I don't want. Well, that's a weight issue. It blocks ventilation. It does all sorts of things, and so we really don't want to use them as storage areas. But they're not that hard to access. You see that thing in your hallway in your bedroom, you can poke your head up there with a flashlight and start looking around, and you can look at the bottom of the sheeting. You can see, in this photo, we can see it looks like some water intrusion going on there. It should be this nice orange color, and we've got some black and some stains coming down. You can see the water line staining down, rolling that way. So, but attics aren't that scary, but what we find in them is, if there's drywall in there, I guess in A106 it is, there's a lot of, look at the perfect little circle patterns of this black mold. So they're nasty. You go over to these other areas, you see the blown insulation. Sometimes that can be itchy. It makes you cough. But the bottom of your sheeting here, again, water damaged. Just black with mold growth. I can't see my bird blocking vents down there. Usually I can see the daylight coming through. And so what happens in this blow-in is the blow-in operator comes up there with a hose and just blows the stuff all over, and it blows it over the attic vents and actually seals them shut and fills them up with insulation so you can't. So the attic itself doesn't breathe, and the roof system doesn't breathe. And then if you add a few disconnected flue vents, that fell away from the roof sheathing, it becomes a problem. So here's a video of us in the attic. Got our mask and our light. And what are we doing here today? We're looking at roof penetrations. These are vents. They don't have the vent connected to them. The vent has become either disconnected, or we're replacing the vents and putting a new vent in. Let's see. Oh, yep. I want to play well. Okay. This is what I wanted to talk about. Was you can get a good look at that vent. One, the vent is insulated on the outside of the pipe, and two, the inside of the pipe is full of, in this case, a bunch of dryer lint. And so you can see that black plastic or black, it's basically sheathing around that metal vent pipe. That's to insulate it. So we've got warm, moist shower steam going into that from the bathroom, and it comes into a cold attic in the morning. And if that's not insulated, that'll condense and water will leak all over the place. So you want your pipes to be insulated, and you want to check your pipes occasionally. So that pipe had a lot of dryer lint in it. So it's something to look for. Too much lint, you can have fire problems, reduced ventilation, etc. Okay, garage misconceptions. Hey, the garage is concrete, so it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Or unclosed or underground garages are unaffected by outside moisture. Think again. It's I've got steel and concrete in my garage. I'm fine. The garage is going to collapse. Well, we have had some parking garages collapse, and it's no fun. But let's take a look at kind of a simple knock test here. I'm in a garage and knocking on a concrete wall with a little tiny pry bar, and you can hear it. Solid, hollow. I'm trying to figure out how deep that crack goes. And I'm using a tiny little trim pry bar, and you can hear solid but hollow. And so over a big area, big chunks of concrete are coming off it. So this big crack is something to keep an eye on. Is it structural? Is it a big crack that goes through the footing and leak? So there's all sorts of reasons to be checking that. And I'm checking it just with a simple tap test. Just you can hear it. It's either solid or it's hollow. So this other one, this is a steel beam or steel embed and a steel beam. And it looks pretty water damaged, and we're actually peeling the steel off with our rivet. That's what's left of your steel. It's just actually smoked. I think I had a piece of them. That's great. Next, little pieces are breaking off on it.
So that's the steel connector.
The yellow is the temporary shoring we put in. And this is a T concrete. So, but it's holding up the entire parking garage. And, this little piece of steel in this corner was holding this concrete beam in place. And so, of course, this is called putting your building on crutches. Put some steel shoring under it, get it stabilized, then we can understand what's going on and suggest the fix. But if you can demolish a steel connection with a screwdriver, yeah, you got a problem. That's scary. Okay. Okay. Now we get to solutions. There's, here's us standing in front of a concrete truck. That's not all that scary. But we're in a garage here looking into some kind of crawl space access. I don't know if these guys are looking for froggers or not, but there's all sort, you'll find these. Where is this? Where does this go? What's inside here? These are things for you to kind of understand what's in your building. Maybe you'll find some stuff. Who knows? Okay, plumbing. Misconceptions. Minor leaks can be ignored. They'll go in on their own. They're self-sealing. I love that one. The pipe these days is self-sealing. It's okay. All plumbing issues require professional help, and homeowners can't do anything themselves. Yeah, I mean, yes and no. You can clearly see this homeowner had a leaky P-trap and just put a garbage bag on it and tied it up. That's, we say A+ for effort, right? That's fantastic. So anyway, but what we'll see is broken pipe. That's on our left side. You can see it's just draining out. It's got residual water in it, but that pipe is shot. And this right picture is galvanized steel pipe that has corroded up. You can see the beautiful crystals, but that's drinking water. And so when you turn on the tap and you get a brown glass of water, that's what it's flowing through. And so really important to double check, make sure what kind of plumbing you have. Copper is ideal. Cast iron, not cast iron, but galvanized will end up like this. And what was supposed to be a 2.5 inch or 2 inch pipe had just a hole down to about, 1/2 inch. So I've got low water pressure and my water's brown. I don't understand why. That's scary if that's what your inside of your pipe looks like. Okay. Leak detection tools, the plumbing repair outline. Here's another video. We did a specific webinar on this, but it's good because it has some
the timeline of repairs. So we talked about stacks earlier. That would be the first floor, second floor, third floor.
Concept.
When we're doing this work, it's done by the stack because those wet walls all line up. The plumbing's all ran vertically.
Yeah.
When we do that, it's usually about a month per stack. We have 2 weeks for doing the plumbing work, for doing the openings and doing the plumbing, and then about 2 weeks for doing the restoration of the walls. During that time, they're not in your unit for that full 2 weeks. They do the plumbing in all 3 units in that 2 weeks, and they're doing the restoration in that 2 weeks. So you've got materials that have got to set, cure, all that. So they'll work in a unit, go to the next unit and do more mud or texture or letting paint dry, things like that. But when this work's all going on, like those summary reports we talked about earlier, those are issued. It's got everything documented. It's got
right. So the piece I wanted to put in there, and we're talking about, do I have to move out and it's plumbing and it's going to shut my bathroom down? Well, when we're doing that in stacks in a very systematic way, we've figured out a way to keep you in your unit, disconnect the water during the day maybe, but reconnect it at night. If you're a two bathroom unit, we can keep one bathroom going, the other bathroom we can work on and swap them. And so there's lots of ways that we can help you stay in your unit. And as far as leak detection tools, this is a classic moisture meter. You can Amazon and get one yourself. You can have cheap ones, or these are the more expensive commercial grade. And then infrared cameras. We've all watched the police helicopter chase, and you can see the bad guy behind the bushes because it's kind of this image, this red or pink image in the bushes, light or whatever. And so what that does is it detects heat, and water is usually cold. And so when we show it at a leaky wall, we'll see it looks like leaks in the wall. And then we can go dig a little further if we need to. But we've got all those tools. We can help you with that. This is a plumbing webinar or repiping webinar that we've done. So go ahead and search for that and you'll get all that about your plumbing jobs. Then Financial stuff, the misconceptions, meaningful repairs can't be done on a budget. Well, says who? I mean, we can do targeted repairs. My reserve study says it's fine. We've talked about reserve studies in the past. They're an estimate. They're an accounting exercise. They're helping you budget for future repairs. They aren't, the God's truth of what this exactly will cost in today's dollar. They're helping you set money aside for that. Other misconceptions: we don't need savings. I'm not going to live here for a long time in this condo, so why should I pay into a savings account when I'm moving and I won't benefit from that? But that's kind of backwards thinking. And then we hear big assessments or big surprises. Shh, don't tell anybody. We don't have to have a vote on that. We can just pass next year's budget with that in it, and they'll just get a bigger bigger sum they have to pay. So those are scary kind of ways of doing your finances. The reality is, let's get some accuracy through inspection. Let's talk about your challenges at community. Loans are possible and affordable. There is a specific loan niche for condo repairs. Not every bank does them. We can steer you to several choices of good HOA lenders. And we've got a whole bunch of value engineering resources on our website there. So, okay, and bad management. Yeah, misconception. They take care of everything. That's why we have a manager, right? I don't have to do anything. And of course I want the lowest bid. I don't want to pay any more than I have to. But good managers, the reality, a hands-on manager, a knowledgeable manager keeps you out of trouble. And so it's that phrase of don't save the day, keep the day from being saved. Keep the day from needing to be saved. And so, just keep you out of trouble. And so they keep you forward in future thinking. Good managers will say, here's what I recommend you do. Obviously, I can't make you do it, but I'm going to fire you and let you go if you don't listen to me. And they help resolve problems. So it's worth paying a good fee for knowledge, experience, and help paying for somebody that gives you what you need. And so that management scaries. Okay, we're getting close here. So let's see, we talked about this. You can stream it on all the platforms. You can follow us on iTunes. New episodes are released every Friday morning. And if you need an inspection, give me a call and we can set that up for you. So let's get over to Q&A. And we've got 5 questions in the little thing here. Okay. Okay, so Anonymous says, can you talk a little bit about converting parking area to accommodate electric vehicles, EVs, and also adding solar panels to roofs as a conversion project? Yeah, we're getting a whole ton of that, and lots of questions about it as society moves more towards, everybody has electric cars, it seems like, in the garage, and they're trying to figure out how to charge it. And we're going to be doing probably a dedicated episode here pretty quick to solar and car charging and things like that. So a couple of key takeaways there. One, what does your power in your current panel allow you to add a double pole breaker to have a car charger? And so a lot of smaller units have, everything's developer grade, right? So I just need the bare minimum. I don't need any extra. And so, I'm going to put in a 100-amp panel that's old and outdated or undersized. The unit only needs 98 amps, but this car charger needs another 30. And so now I'd be 98 plus 30. I'd be at 128. I don't have a big enough panel. So am I upgrading my panel? Do I have room to do this? Is the wire coming into the complex big enough? So those are, do I have the right, size of pipe to get the power into my car and obviously from solar as well. So then the next piece on solar panels. I have, my complex has 10 buildings. I live in building 2, but building's 2 roof isn't ideal. I'd really like to put my panels on building 3. Okay, so now you're putting them on somebody else's roof. So As far as unit owners to have panels, it gets sticky because I live on the shady side, and that's not my roof over there. We don't want everybody screwing panels through the roof and causing problems. So what we say is focus as an association. You have what's called house power. So parking lots, maybe parking lights, parking lot lights, common area lights, sidewalks. You have all these uses for common area power, if you will. Maybe you got a pool, maybe you need a pool heater, maybe you got a garbage room that has a compactor, so all those kind of things. Start thinking, can my solar array run at least house power stuff? And then I need a decision of, am I just trying to make the meter spin backwards and get a check, or am I trying to live off grid or be prepared when there's a big tornado? And so now I need some battery storage. And so I can run that extra solar power into a battery bank. Now I can keep key things working well, and we're not out of power. And so there's you kind of have to go through a few steps. Where do I put the panels? What am I doing with the panel energy? And so, but if you have all that stuff and you have enough panel size, we're just adding. It's just an electrician to add a Tesla charging station, or what are the other ones, the regular ones. And they're really a nice amenity when you pull into a place and you see, hey, look at all the electric car charging amenities. It's really cool. And then there can be tax credits for solar. There can be tax credits for this type of stuff. So hopefully I've answered that. Okay, next question from Jody. We went through over a year of an occupied remediation during COVID. The renters in the building griped incessantly and left in droves. Many of the owners were more likely to balance the benefits, even though some of them still griped. I can't remember the inconveniences by now. Okay, so I'm looking for the question. So it's just, hey, it took us a year during COVID. COVID was a pain in the neck. And so, us leading the charge through that, we had to be determined, the project had to be determined essential. We had, News Corps and fire marshals showing up to jobs. And then when they get there, they say, yeah, these decks are falling off. They're dangerous. Continue. And so, there was a lot of that. But damaged buildings, making things right, the building official says, take care of it. If you're doing your dream remodel, they're like, you can wait. And so that's what we saw about that. The renters were griping because, hey, everybody's forced to stay home, and then I got to live through this nail pounding, and I can't go to work to get away from the noise. I'm stuck in my unit. Everybody's anxiety was high, and you're strapped in. You're told to stay inside, and so yeah, it was a stressful time. I'm glad we're through that. Okay, let's see. Anonymous says, and if this freaks you out that I call you out by first name, let me know. Type it in the chat, and I won't do that. But anyway, Anonymous writes a question: is the board or the unit owner responsible for structural stuff that allows for home intrusion? Oh, okay. So that's back to the what we call them, the Phrogging. So it's a lock on a hatch. Ooh, that'd be an interesting question. I would start with your manager, start with a set of bylaws, and then go to your attorney to understand really what we're trying to prevent here. So building a firewall in that attic, I would say, yeah, it's definitely a limited common element. At least it's in the attic. I can only access it from your unit. But firewall is there for code reasons. But it also would help, stop some people, or at least hear them chipping through the wall and trying to get into your space. As far as that example I used, we went around and put on lockable access doors. And so I don't know who paid for that. I think once people understood what was going on, everybody signed up for, yeah, I want that, because it was happening in units A and B, and they didn't want it happening in the rest of the place. So I would start start with that. I don't know if it's a structural repair per se, but it would be a unit access. It would be a security element. It would be a common element that everybody needs, and it's security related. Just start that conversation. But I deal with the construction stuff, not with the bylaws stuff. But I can tell you, been in the business for over 30 years, and this is the first time I've heard of this. And so if it's not a common condition, it won't be contemplated in your bylaws. And so it's kind of a sign of the times. Okay, as Anonymous says, is Jens' new favorite word phrogging? Yeah, pretty much. It's not, yeah. I was trying to say, what am I most scared about? Yeah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see my building collapse or my loved one's buildings collapse. Or just, security issues that would kind of freak anybody out. Okay, next question, another anonymous. Do you use leak detection tools at every inspection, or does the board need to request it? It depends on what we're looking for. And so if we're trying to find a hidden leak that seems mysterious, you bet. It's very easy for us to grab the tool and bring it. We don't bring it to every one of them. Oftentimes we can see here's the water coming out of the hole in the deck membrane, and the wood is water damaged, decayed, rotten, whatever you want to call it. That came from this condition. So I can tell you, the moisture meter will tell you if it's currently wet or dry. It's a sunny, warm day, but obviously it's damaged and it's currently dry. That doesn't mean you don't have a problem. And so the moisture meter is only going to work if it's currently wet. The infrared imaging is only going to work if it's currently wet. But infrared is nice because the non-invasive tool, it's just a camera that you shine around and you go, oh, wait, hey, go up there, climb a ladder and kind of look at that wall. And then after closer inspection, we'll dig into it and find there's issues. So it depends on what we're looking for. If we're trying to demonstrate that this window had a problem and go back against the manufacturer, we'll be saying, look, the leak from this joint caused this issue. It's wet, it's current. So there's lots of different reasons to use them. Let's see, last question. We're coming up on the last one. So if we got any last one remaining questions, this will be the last one. So anonymous, are there any indicators that a plumbing inspection is needed other than leaks? Should we be doing this regularly? So I think one of the questions, it's similar to, I would say, any kind of maintenance. If oil changes in a car, I don't want to wait till my engine is making terrible noises. That means I waited too long. Going to the dentist for a cleaning, I don't want to wait till I have a sore tooth. That means I waited way past the cavity is now a root canal. And so plumbing inspections start with age, start with going to your water meter, find your water meter outside. It's a dial and it has a little dial that spins really fast. And so open up your thing, make sure the water is off. There's nothing running. And if you see that meter spinning, that means there's a leak somewhere because water is coming through the meter and continuing on. But if no faucets are on and washer's not on, etc., that meter's spinning, it's telling you got a leak. So that's real easy to check. You just pull the lid off of your water meter and look if that dial is solid, you don't have any leaks. So then look at the other common areas. See, remember all those hatches we were talking about? Open the hatches up, kind of look in there. Look under your basement and your parking garage. You can see a lot of the plumbing sometimes. Do your best to try to, if you can see it, go look for it. I don't think it's worth tearing drywall off to check your things, but I do think if you have galvanized pipe, start thinking about, hey, 30 years, I better start checking some of this stuff. Check your financial reports. Why are we always paying $10,000 a month for leak repair? So I'm seeing a pattern of things. I just didn't realize it. And so why is it leaking so much? There's little pinholes or something like that. If you have a bad plumbing product, like mid-90s, that PVC stuff, Gold Bond or whatever, had a class action suit. And so the joints were getting brittle and bursting. But again, you know from the repair bills. So should we be doing this regularly? Yeah. Take a peek around, look. If it's easy, do it. Okay, that's it for questions. And then we get into giveaways. Dun, 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 dun. So the giveaway, J2 box, stickers, fun stuff. So Ben knows your list. I don't. And I'm going to pick a random number. I'm going to say 7 because it's lucky and we need all the luck we can in the scary Halloween season. So Ben is going to find you, reach out to you, and put this in the mail to you. So thank you very much. All right, wrapping it up. Did you know we have free resources for boards and managers? Go to learn.j2consultants.com/resources. We have a big, robust YouTube channel, over 300 videos on YouTube, and webinars, Spotify, iTunes, social. So stay tuned for more content, and we appreciate you making the time to listen to the show. We'll be back on the 4th Tuesday in November. So see you then. Have a great Halloween, everybody. Thanks for watching.